Hello, everyone. This is Mr. Taylor. I hope you are all doing well and enjoying your fall semester thus far. We are encroaching on the month benchmark of the semester and of the course, so we're roughly 1 month in. So, good job hanging in there. I know you all have a lot going on outside of classes, and it's not lost on me that this class is one that's quite content heavy and requires a lot of brushing up on research and writing skills. So, just keep up the momentum. We're going to be jumping into a lot more collaborative type of work moving forward. I'll address that in just a moment. And so you're going to take a lot of these ideas that you've been brushing up on, working on, and then we're going to work on them together individually and independently moving forward. Your research project and the research domain and interest you develop in this course will be your own. You will have the autonomy to develop it, mold it, flesh it out, and I'll be here to help you. Envision me as not only a professor, but also an editor, as if you were seeking publication for the research you're going to be engaging in moving forward. So it'll be a slightly different dynamic than would be a normal research class, but we'll address that in just a moment. I'm going to provide just a few quick updates in this video. I'm going to keep it minimum because the content of this module is very intensive. So I want to give you all time to be able to handle all those assignments. A few administrative updates. I am grading all outstanding assignments by the end of this coming weekend. So it's very time intensive. It takes about 2 or 3 hours, to grade one of the diagnostic assignments, and then I have to put together recommendations, etc. Grading quizzes and the other daily and weekly assignments that have been submitted. So just know that all of that will be delivered to you by the end of this weekend. So you'll have everything. You'll have my comments, my notes. As you receive those assignments back, you should get an email notification, but you can also go into your grades in Canvas and go into the assignment, and you should see my feedback under comments. And I usually always leave a comment, usually on your document itself via Word if it's a written assignment, or if it's a quiz or something similar, you'll find it in the assignment itself via Canvas. So be on the lookout for that. The most important will be your diagnostic writing and research packet that I will be returning to you, as all future grading on all future assignments will be based off of the comments, feedback, and suggestions in that packet. Excuse me. We will be having a week off coming up soon. I'm having an operation, and so it'll be within the next 3 weeks. So I wanted to put that on your radar to know that you'll have a week built in there to work on your research independently, be able to have some time to brush up on some of the module content if you feel like you need some time to go back and review, or just have some downtime to let all the content sink in. That will be coming, so I'm sure that's a perk to some of you all. I'm not sure when, but I'll keep you updated via announcements when that's going to happen. Also, all of this work is a precursor to our collaboration sessions, which will be coming up in the next 2 to 3 weeks or so. These sessions are your one-on-one workshop sessions with me. We will meet one-on-one virtually via Zoom or in person if you're on campus, and we will dissect all of your assignments to date, your research domain and interest. We'll put together and formulate a plan for how to progress to the next stage and essentially answer any questions you may have. So each of you will have an hour block with me for those collaboration sessions. They are graded, they are mandatory. Instead of meeting collectively as a class 4 to 5 times a semester, as most of your other classes are doing, we're only going to do these collaboration sessions, usually 2 or 3 times a semester or as needed. Keep in mind, outside of that, if you need extra help, I'm always available for office hours, traditional in person or virtually by Zoom. Don't hesitate to reach out, shoot me an email. Email is the best way to get me. I work from home quite often, so if you call my phone extension, it's not uncommon that I'm not going to be there to answer it. So just know that email is the quickest way to get to me. Those are just a few administrative updates. I will talk quickly about the current module content, kind of give you a disclaimer and precursor for the content herein, and then we will chat just a little bit about where all of this falls into the overall schematic of your research. All right, so this week's module is entitled From Research Interest to Academic Discourse, Managing the Literature Research, Formulating Research Questions, dated 9/11/23. The module looks normal as any other module would. You have a short synopsis of the module and the content to come here, a checklist if you feel like you want to print and keep up with all of the items. It's just a way to keep organized. And then you follow through with each element of the module consecutively. I try to number them and order them in a way that's helpful based on the content and what you're handling in terms of assignments for the module. So I will say this just as a precursor to the module and everything we're going to do moving forward. If you haven't already, help yourself out and secure a binder, a jump drive, create some file space on Google in your Google Drive to start collecting all of these documents together. All of your assignments, you're going to start saving all of these studies, all of your peer-reviewed journals. You're going to be inundated with archival evidence for your research, and you need a place to put it all. Just take my word for it. You can do whatever you need to do, based on your learning style and your own interest for organizing everything, but you will need to somehow kind of create a central hub for all of your data. It's just going to make your life easier. A lot of people tend to print things out because it's easier when you've got multiple screens, multiple documents that you're drafting so that you can flip through tangible hard copies of your studies. Just saying that tends to be the preference when we get into the weeds of things. However, if you're a digital type person, which I'm not, but I know a lot of you are, you can create, like I said, a Google Drive or a Jump Drive or any of these resources that you can save your files online and easily go through them and flip through them. So precursor to this module is that it is very reading intensive. All of the reading that is normally spread out over the first 4 weeks or so of the course has been compiled into this one module based off of the grace period I've given everyone to secure the 2 required texts for the course. So what you're going to be doing primarily is reading the entire part 1 of Writing Literature Reviews, our primary text. That's 4 chapters. And what you'll find is that it's going to cover some critical and essential foundations for understanding research at this level, a lot of which we've already discussed and touched on in lecture videos and former modules. But also it's going to give you all of the foundation you need to start your own research and to start engaging in the literature search and the background research that's necessary to help flesh out and further identify your research topic. So it's very important. The entire part 1 is probably the most important part of that textbook. So if you haven't already, make sure that as you're reading, you're taking notes, just as if you're sitting in class. There will be a quiz at the conclusion of this module that will be weighted 4 of the daily, weekly assignments. So it's very few of the assignments are weighted like that. Most of the quizzes, as for the last one, was also the same, but most of the quizzes will be 3 or 4, even sometimes more in weight, just because the concepts are that critical and your understanding of the concepts are critical to being able to actually engage in the research and the writing. So it's stuff you can't just ignore, you can't just brush through. Make sure you're taking the time to understand the concepts. The other things you will be doing in this module is investigating your initial research topic. I'll tell everyone up front that the expectation is that everyone's topic, or what we refer to as a research domain, at this stage is going to be too broad. It's going to need to be further narrowed a great deal. So typically what we do is we have to get the topic very specified. We have to integrate the 3 what we call primary threads or variables of that topic that you're going to be investigating, and then putting that idea into what we call topical format, which is then easily changed to a thesis. And at that point, you have all of the building blocks you need onto which you can build the rest of your research. Keep in mind, again, like mentioned in the first few modules, this process is not linear. I mean, there are some prescribed steps to keep everything in order, but the topic and your content will change. It is heavily dynamic based on what you find when you're investigating that topic. So that's what you're doing this week. You're going to be engaging in the literature, conducting some of that initial background research. You're going to formulate research questions. So those questions are open-ended questions where you're trying to figure out what is it that I need to know that hasn't already been said. And then you're going to go out and pull literature, pull empirical data, research, etc., to answer those research questions. And then you'll have your initial batch of information onto which you can then expound later, but you'll at least have a basis to understand, is my topic feasible enough? Is it relevant enough? Is it a topic onto which opinion is typically divided? Has it already been done? Am I simply redoing what has already been done in the academic conversation with regards to that topic. All of these things. So as you can see, not only is the readings critical, but after you go through those readings and you feel like you have a thorough understanding, you're going to get into the weeds of conducting your own background research. And so this is a very important stage, even though it'll change. 9 times out of 10, the initial idea of research that people have in their mind, that initial research domain, always changes. Once you start pulling research and finding that, a lot of what you want to investigate has already been investigated, or the variables in which you want to investigate have already been discovered and researched, a lot of times that topic will change. That's why I constantly say you're going to mold it, you're going to change it as we go through. But just keep in mind that it's going to change. That's actually a good thing, because it means you're tailoring the research domain based on all of the concepts that are critical to developing a successful lit review. I've got some questions here. These are things that will be answered by the end of this module. I'll let you read that on your own. The introductory video will be posted here. I've already covered the assigned reading. At this point, it's very important to start looking at actual studies, which you will do as part of the assignments this week, but the language, the writing style of some lit reviews. What I've done is collected some sample lit reviews. There's only 2 there now, I believe. So if you go to modules and scroll down, you'll see, let's see, where's it at? Probably put it at the bottom. Yep, here we go. There are 2 published right now, a 1 and a 3. So I've got one that's more in a final stage, one that's kind of in progress. So I kind of want you to lay eyes on different versions of these. I will add to this folder. But at this point, I want you to pull these up and look through them, and not only taking note of the format and the topics itself, but also the language. Look at how the citations are presented, what we call attributions in the sentences. You'll see that there are several different ways, several different formats and manifestations that citations take. It's not just what most undergrad students think of as being just an in-text citation at the conclusion of a sentence. We're going to get a lot more dynamic with the way we cite our sources, and that goes hand in hand with your style, the style of your sentences, your wording, the academic language, your syntax, writing in more robust, sophisticated sentence structures, using punctuation like a semicolon that you may not have used previously. All of that. I want you to take note of all of this. Look at the way the ideas are presented, the order in which ideas are presented. It's crucial to get an understanding of the standard. Now, these are in no way perfect. These are just what I think are good examples to set eyes on initially. Your golden standards, of course, will be your peer-reviewed journals that you pull from the library and academic databases. It's a combination of both. Use these as reference points from a graduate student perspective, but then take a look at the standards of what actual published research looks like. And the goal is you're going to mirror or make your writing congruent with this standard by the end of the course. It's going to take a lot of work. So just make sure that you take a look at those, and keep in mind that IPE 520, where is it at? I think it's in the last module. IPE, the prohibited items and prohibited elements and important considerations items. I've already put together a bulleted point, a list that you can print out that really hones in on some of the things that are important to getting your writing to that style. So, for instance, one of the biggest mistakes, the biggest errors in writing with incoming graduate and professional researchers is using personal pronouns. At this rate, and this is probably the most important thing about writing at this level, no personal pronouns, I, me, my, we, us, you. None of those words are permitted. The idea is to adopt a thoroughly objective standpoint in which you are just presenting factual, expository-based information, empirical data. You will never put yourself in the research. Your opinions, your thoughts, your attitudes, all of that, you will extract from your research. You will never be associated with your research in that way. And we'll touch more on that next week's module, but just know that's why you can't use personal pronouns. Also, conversational words, anything that's not a standard of professionalism. So just know that all of these things here are some bullet point items you can print out to help you as you're working on your assignments. this will be a very stringently graded list.